Hi, everybody. This is Stephanie Parra, Government Relations Director with the Arizona Education Association. It is Friday, February 15th, and we just wrapped up the 5th week of legislative session for 2019. And I wanted to get online and give you guys a quick update of what happened this week, and then some things that we have coming up next week. First, I want to start off with a really big celebration. Senate Bill 1014, English Language Learner Reform, an issue that AEA has been working on for many, many years. Since the inception of the 4-hour structured English immersion block, AEA leaders and activists have been opposed to the very restrictive model, as we know that it was not adequately serving our English learners in our schools. This week, the governor signed the bill just yesterday, changing how we are allowed to educate English learners in Arizona. We will no longer be restricted by a 4-hour structured English immersion block. Districts will be able to design models that are based on research that support English instruction and that will allow our English learners to thrive. So I really want to take a moment to celebrate this really huge victory, and it's been a long time coming. The legislature thankfully also unanimously supported it, sent it to the governor's desk with 90 yes votes and no opposition. So we are thrilled to see this progress. So thank you to everybody who made some phone calls and emails and notified legislators of and the governor's office of your support of Senate Bill 1014. So it is because of you and your activism that we were able to see that bill through so early on in the legislative session. And yes, Maria, thank God it is Friday. We are excited for a weekend. So that's the great news, but we do have, unfortunately, some bad news that's coming on the horizon next week. There are 2 bills on the House and Senate Education Committees on Monday and Tuesday that are an attack on teachers' First Amendment rights. House Bill 2015 has been introduced by Representative Townsend. That will be heard on Monday afternoon, and Senate Bill 1458 will be heard on Tuesday afternoon. 1458 is Senator Allen's bill. Both of these bills really are an infringement on your First Amendment rights as educators. They are very clearly red for ed retaliation bills, and AEA will be loud and vocal in our opposition against these proposed legislation. We actually have the Supreme Court. There is an opinion that recently came out from the Supreme Court that aligns with our perspective on this kind of infringement really does impede on your First Amendment rights and overextends some court interpretation. So we want you all to come down and advocate for yourselves once again. On Monday, it is President's Day, and most of you have the day off. I know some of you in our southern region do not, but if you do have the day off on Monday and you can make a trip down to the Capitol, Joe and I will be convening a legislative briefing on Monday at 1 o'clock in the House basement conference room. It's the Copper Conference Room, or numbers 3538. Again, 1 o'clock on Monday. If you can join us, we will see you there. And we look forward to having a room full of red shirts, advocating for yourselves on your day off. We know that you guys are committed, and we'd love to see you down there on Monday. On Tuesday, there are the teacher evaluation bill, Senate Bill 1071, is back on the calendar. We're asking you all to take action and let the Senate Education Committee know that they need to make some fixes to this proposed legislation. We need to make sure that evaluations are fair for all teachers. So please look out for the legislative update and take action and let those Education Committee members know that we're supportive of the direction, but we definitely see some room for improvement on the proposed legislation. So look out for that in the update as well. And finally, I do want to introduce and speak to a couple of bills that AEA has brought forward in partnership with some legislators. House Bill 2647 and House Bill 2650 are related to your contracts, to teacher contracts. So currently, many of you know that if you resign your contract, you can be subject to discipline for breaking a contract if the governing board does not approve your resignation. And we are hearing stories coming from the field where districts are not only subjecting teachers to discipline, but they are also imposing liquidated damages for contract breaks. Anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000 have been imposed as liquidated damages for an individual breaking a contract. This, we think, is an egregious form of discipline, and really it locks teachers in and limits their opportunities to have contracts be so restrictive when districts are now offering contracts extremely early on in the year. I know there are districts who have offered contracts and expect them back now. I think there was a district that wanted their contracts back in the next week or so. And some educators have let us know that they've been expected to sign contracts since December and January. So as we're hearing this, AEA decided to work on the issue, and we want to free up these really harsh restrictions and make it so that teachers are not essentially trapped in contracts and put into financial tailspins for breaking a contract. Especially for the educators that give proper notice, that give districts sufficient time to plan for the following year. I heard a story today of an educator who was a kindergarten teacher, got notice that had already signed her contract, got notice that her kindergarten class was cut because there were not a sufficient number of kindergarten students, was offered a third grade class and decided not to accept it because it was not her area, her content area, and had to break a contract because of it, and the district still fined her $1,500 for breaking that contract, even though the district did not have a kindergarten class for this specific educator. We're hearing it from rural Arizona, urban Arizona, all across the state, stories like this, and we really are looking to collect these stories. So for those of you all that have members and colleagues that are experiencing issues with your contracts, please send those to us. Send them into us. We want to make sure that we're collecting these stories and that we are effectively telling your story when I'm down at the Capitol talking to lawmakers about why this is such an important issue for our members. And you know, I mentioned that some districts are offering contracts really early on. House Bill 2650 would actually restrict that and go back to pre-2009 when districts were required to offer contracts between March 15th and May 15th, and non-renewals needed to be notified by April 15th every year. And so in 2009, that law was repealed, and now districts can offer contracts whenever they want. And so what we're seeing is that contracts are being offered as early as December, as late as July and August. And so the instability that that creates for you all is really what we are informing lawmakers of. We think that these are two common sense proposals that really would bring back stability and just the idea that you all should not be limited in the career opportunities that you have in front of you. So look for that in our update as well. Like I said, we'll be collecting stories. If you come on down and join us on Monday, we will be asking for those stories as well. So we really have our work cut out for us as far as getting these bills heard, because next week is the last week to hear bills in committee in the chambers of origin before they have to cross over. And so we have an ask to you all to call the Speaker and the President and the House and Senate education chairs, ask them to hear these bills, give them a chance, because this issue is, it's important, and I know how much of a hardship it can be for some members that are going through it, especially those that have been imposed fines upwards of $4,000. So look for our legislative update. Make sure that you take action on the evaluation bill. I hope to see you all on Monday, on President's Day, down at the Capitol, and have a lovely weekend. I will let you all enjoy the rest of your Friday. Thank you.